Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, we are from group 7. We'll explain about non-verbal communication. But firstly, let me introduce my groups. The first one is Sahra as the first speaker, and the second one is Anita as the second speaker, and the third is Asri as the third speaker, and the last one is me as the last speaker and also as moderator. Okay, without any further ado, let's get to the first speaker. Sahra, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, I will reading a material about definition of nonverbal communicates. Novinger states that nonverbal communication is the nonverbal behavior talk with a person communicates behavior in the sense includes gesture, facial expression, tone of voice, dress, body language, and the rituals such as commentaries on observers. When we think about communications, we most often focus on how we exchange information using words. While verbal communication is important, human relies on nonverbal communication for thousands of years before we developed the capability communicate with words. Nonverbal communications is a process of generating meaning using behavior of other than word. Rather than thinking of nonverbal communications has the opposite for or separate from verbal communications. The next. B. Nonverbal process communication. Nonverbal communication includes the widest variety of behaviors, including the study of kinetic, facial expression, posture, and body movement. Prosemic speech, vocalize, silent, the meaning behind how we say our words. Haptics, contact, touch, behavior. Meanwhile, word mention elements nonverbal communication into three. The first, mutual gaze. According to word culture, toward a culture has explicit rights about eyes behavior such as starting and lowering the eyes. For the example, in the some culture, then to avert eyes. Contact during a conversation, but in the other, direct eyes contact means showing respect and paying attention. To bodily contact culture also vary in extent to which they allow a bodily contact. Contact culture includes Arab, Latin American, and Southern Europa group. 3. Gesture. There are some gesture that can make a person confused if the gesture have different meaning between two different culture, although they are the familiar gesture. Context. The context communication is in place of unnecessary verbal expressiveness or in the addition to verbal language. B. Chronomics. People to comprehend this informal of time across culture with less calories than their understanding system. Maybe just that from me. I say thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Emblems or gesture. A gesture assigned a specific meaning in a culture is called an emblem. Gestures that are foreign to us create non-understanding, and we know we don't understand. More problematic are homomorphic, same or similar in form but different in meaning. Gestures that not only generate misunderstanding but can be insulting and inflammatory. We think we understood but we misinterpreted. In general, some research indicate that men use gesture more frequently than women, and the educated use gesture more frequently than the educated. And the second is eye contact. Cultures have explicit rules regarding eye behavior such as staring frequently off contact and lowering the eyes. The same behavior can have different meaning in different cultures, giving rise to misinterpretation. For example, in some cultures, direct eye contact signifies honesty and attentiveness, while in others it shows disrespect and boldness. It can even signal aggression. In North American culture, one can almost hear a scolding adult admonish a child, "You like me, you look at me when I speak to you." In the same circumstance in most Latin American culture, for the child don't lower to gaze and eyes is to disrespectfully challenge authority. The third is facial expression. Communication research experts that feel that there are some universal patterns of facial expression. There appears to be the most agreement the happiness is recognizable. However, culture rules may dictate that use of a facial expression for other purpose. In eye, another may contain the meaning that unless tension or is reduced, attack will follow. Psychologists have estimated that the musculature of the face can produce over 20,000 different facial expressions. The next is haptics or touch. Although human beings are born with a need for touch, as evidenced by studies showing that infants will not survive without educated touching. Cultures train humans as to what and how much touch is acceptable as they mature. People in collective culture touch each other more than those cultures that stress the individual. Touch can cause misunderstanding in cultural communication. In South Africa, a vigorous handshake is desirable, but Latin America, this is considered hostile. Some cultures will not shake hands when they want to show respect. In Thailand, one does not touch another in public and one never touches one on the head. Gender roles also influence touching rituals. And the last is posture. The meaning and this is not the last. Posture. The meaning and use of body posture or stance can vary culturally. In the United States, a culture that follows a casual and friendly attitude. People often sprawl when they sit or slouch when they stand. In many more former European countries such as Germany, a slouching posture is considered rude. Cultures also orient themselves differently to communicate. People may orient themselves directly face-to-face communicate as in Arab countries, or they may assume a stance that is less direct, as in many Asian countries. And the last is smell. Smell is one of our basic modes of communication and can situation a message when the person is gone. Arabs perceive smell as an extension of the person and actively smell others. North Americans are the less comfortable with smell. It is said that an Arab should not deny his brother his bread. And we move to proximus. Proximus. People communicate with speech far more than is consciously apparent, and speech affect behavior differently in different cultures. First, fixed theater space. Fixed theater space tells us what we do, where, and how. People rest and define space, territoriality, and use space to indicate status or rank by the amount or location of their territory. Semi-fixed feature space. Semi-fixed feature space extend this function to movable object. Some cultures easily move furniture and others don't. On German executive working in the United States actually had a visitor chair in this office bolted to the floor because it is too greatly disturbed him to have a visitor's position to chair when sitting down in front of his desk. In French, subordinates desk culture around their manager's central desk. Informal speech. Informal speech includes the distance maintained in interpersonal encounters, which varies culturally. In some cultures, people stand and sit very close when interacting, and they make negative judgments such as coldness, condescension, or disinterest about those who interact at a greater distance. Culture usually determines orientation, whether persons interact face-to-face or side-by-side, as well as whether people wait in line or jockey for the best position to be served. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Asri from AG2, and I will continue to explain our material, and I will explain about mediasi. Mediasi, action that simultaneous communicate warmth, closeness, and availability. For communicate are immediacy behaviors that appears rather that appearance and are typical of culture that have high physical contact as contrasts to low contact cultures, and that's about immediacy. Next, about physical characters. Physical are facts. Is people communicate direct or indirect with extensions of themselves, such as clothing, gift, property. In one culture, it can be seen as unpleasant or even inciting another, so that it can influence them to communicate because they have different perception. That's why we need to learn about this issue, so we know the cultures of various regions, so that we don't misunderstand the culture that exists. So that's about physical character. And next, about focal rate. Focal rate is the speed at which people speak. A past talk might be viewed as glib and untrustworthy in one culture, but as intelligent and inflated in another. According to Extel, one of the most intriguing aspects of communicating with other people around the world, gesture and body language. He said that there are some common gesture and body language but with uncommon meaning. I think that's all for me, and thanks for the chance. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
The last material is will explained by me. According to Axtell, one of the most intriguing aspects of communicating with other people around the world is gesture and body language. He said that there are some common gesture and body language, but with uncommon meaning. The first one is handshaking or shaking hands. North American children are taught to do this with a firm and solid grip, while hand clapping as a greeting has generally been adopted around the world. The Japanese prefer to bowing, but will quickly cater to Western by shaking hands. Southeast Asian prefer to press their own palms together in a praying motion, and when Middle Eastern and Asian do handshaking, they favor a gentle grip because in their culture, a firm grip suggests aggressiveness. The second one is eye contact. When greeting and conversing with other North American children are taught to look people directly in the eyes. In Japan and certainly other Asian countries, parents train their children to avert their eyes and avoid direct eye contact, which is considered intimidating or may have sexual overtone. Interestingly, among Native American tribes, it was considered disrespectful to stare directly into an elder's eyes. The third is waving. Whether a North American is signaling hello or goodbye by waving, or simply trying to get attention of someone distant person. He or she raises the arm and waggles the open hand back forth. Throughout much of European waving back and forth signal no. The fourth is beckoning. Another beckoning motion an American might use is to raise the index finger and make a curling motion with that finger. Both of beckoning gesture may be misunderstood in other part of the world. 5. V or for Victoria. 5. V for Victoria. Display the index and the middle finger in the shape of a V, like this one, with the palm facing outward, and virtually all over the world is understood to mean victory or peace. 6. The OK gesture. In a national survey, this proved to be single best in the United States with 98% recognition. North Americans flash this gesture frequently and enthusiastically. Checker in France, however, where it can mean zero or worthless, or in Japan it can mean money, as if making the snap of coin. In places as Brazil, Russia, and Germany, it is a signal very private bodily orifice. The 7 is thumbs up. In many cultures, ubiquitous gesture when they want to silently say good job or great, all of which demonstrate support and approval in certain locales. However, it can vary completely different meanings. In Nigeria, it is considered a rude gesture and should be avoided. In Japan, it is signified as 5, but in Germany, it is mean 1. 8. Most Texans will recognize this gesture as a rallying call at the University of Texas because it mimics and horns of the school symbols and mascot. In Italy, this same gesture say that someone is being cuckolded. In Africa, when pointed downward, it can mean placing a curse on someone. And in Brazil and Venezuela, the same gesture is considered a good luck sign to ward off evil. 9. Spatial relationship. In formal social situation, North Americans generally stand about 30 inches apart from another. Asians, however, tend to stand farther apart. In contrast, Latin and Middle Easterns often stand much closer, sometimes when 2 to 2, side by side, and brushing elbow. 10. Touching. North Americans are not touch-oriented. With good friends, they may occasionally touch a forearm or an elbow. And very good friends, they may go so far as to place an arm around the shoulder. But hugging is almost never done among casual acquaintances. In Latin, who are good friends seems to die on it, with hearty embrace and warm part on the back. In the Middle East, two Arab male friends may even be seen walking to the street hand in hand, and all signified is friendship. 11. Kissing. Among North American, kissing is usually reserved for sweethearts, one's spouse and one's mother, and can occur among close female relatives, friends, and acquaintances, but rarely between two men. Among Latins, Southern Europeans, and Russian, both female and male acquaintances will commonly greet one another with kisses to the cheeks. Okay, that's the last material from us. Back to the moderator. Thank you. Okay, that's all the material from Group 7 about non-verbal communication. And thank you very much. And I just want to say, stay home and stay safe. See you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.